Welcome to the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast, where we aim to help fellow veterinary rehab therapists increase their knowledge and elevate their practice. I'm Megan Kelly.
And I'm Anae Lloyd. Together, we bring you the latest insights, research, and information in the field of veterinary rehabilitation.
This podcast is brought to you by Onlinepethealth, a leading continuing education membership for veterinary rehabilitation therapists. With Onlinepethealth, you will have access to a wide range of online resources to help you stay up to date with the latest techniques, advances, and trends in the industry.
Our podcast features in-depth conversations with leading experts in veterinary rehabilitation. They share their own experiences and knowledge to help you improve your practice. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out in the field, our goal is to provide you with the tools and the insights you need to succeed.
So join us as we explore the exciting world of veterinary rehabilitation and help you take your practice to the next level. Hey Vetrehabbers, in this episode I'm joined by Anne Wilson from The Wealth Chef. We dive into a topic that affects every one of us Vetrehabbers, and that's retirement planning. Now, Anne is passionate about helping people create financial freedom, and she shares how small intentional changes in the way we manage money can make a huge difference. We explore how to start building wealth that isn't tied directly to our hours in the vet rehab clinic, and how to create financial security for the future while still enjoying our lives today. The Vet Rehab Summit 2025 is coming up on the 8th of November, and we're so excited to bring you a full day of expert insights, inspiration, and connection, and it's all from the comfort of your home. This year's theme is Dynamic by Design, and we're going to explore canine and equine anatomy in motion, diving into biomechanics, muscle activation patterns, and movement science that you can apply in practice right away. Now, free live tickets are available, but the spots are limited. If you want access to the full lineup and all the sessions recordings afterwards, now's the time to register. You can check out the program and save your seat at vetrehabsummit.com. A quick word from our sponsor before we dive into today's topic. At Paw Prosper, we believe true pet well-being demands a three-pronged approach: prevention, support, and rehabilitation. Our brands are trusted by veterinarians, universities, and rehab facilities alike. So whether you're looking to train, rehabilitate, or help your patients age gracefully, our brands Walking Pets, Help 'em Up, Respond Animal Therapeutics, Fit Paws, Muffins, Halo, Sleepy Pod, and Canine Carts offer effective, innovative, and proven solutions. You can sign up today to receive a one-time special gift for all our online Pet Health listeners with your next order, and you can go to the special link pawprosper.com/OPH. Now, of course, you'll be able to see Paw Prosper and all their brands on the 8th of November at the Vet Rehab Summit. Right, over to my chat with Anne. Hey Vetrehabbers, I'm so excited today because we have an absolute powerhouse joining us. So if you've ever wondered how to take control of your finances, build wealth, and create financial freedom, you are in for a treat. Today, I'm speaking to none other than Anne Wilson, the Wealth Chef. Anne is an international best-selling author, speaker, and financial freedom strategist who has helped thousands of people worldwide take charge of their money, ditch their financial stress, and design the life that they truly want. She is the author of an amazing book, The Wealth Chef. I've got a copy. This is a game-changing book, guys. It teaches you how to grow, keep, and enjoy your wealth without sacrificing your lifestyle. So if you don't have a copy, you need to get one of those. For so many of us in the vet rehab industry, financial planning, I think, is something that really takes a backseat. We're so busy focusing on helping animals and running our practices. But here's the truth: if we don't plan for our financial future, we risk working so much longer than we should have. And this is often going to be at the expense of our health, our happiness, and our freedom. So that's exactly why I've invited Anne here today. She's going to break down retirement planning in a way that actually makes sense for us vet rehabbers. Many of whom, we are trading our time for money, and a lot of us don't have a backup plan for the future. So welcome, Anne. I'm so excited to hear what you're going to share with us today.
Meg, I'm so thrilled to be here. Firstly, speaking money and really bringing it into our everyday conversation, because money weaves through every aspect of our life. And it's such a privilege for me to be here to share what I've learned for myself and others, and with your amazing community. So thank you.
Let's get started, Anne. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what your framework for retirement planning is?
So Meg's right up front. I really get those of us who trained and in professions and especially where they're professions around service, often the key message we got was, of sacrifice, of we put ourselves first, and there's a huge aspect of our identity, which is amazing, which is about really being out there to help others. And I think in your rehab community, in the vet community, even more so, there's these amazing sentient beings that can't, need to be supported, looked after ourselves. And what I see for so many people in this, and I came from a very similar kind of upbringing and culture of this work hard, in service, sacrifice, and then hopefully somehow some of the other stuff would take care of itself. But the problem, it doesn't. And as you said, it leads to this burnout and this frustration. And also, certainly in my case, it led, well, am I stupid? Am I getting something wrong? Was there some module I missed? And then there's an added element of being a woman. I grew up in a very average family. I was number 5 of 6 kids. And the message was study hard, get a good job. My father died when I was relatively young. So I also watched my mother struggling with who did she trust? How did she manage a small amount of money she had got left? And I looked around, and so many women had this fear around money, this stress, this anxiety. And I realized, like, whoa, I never wanted to be that vulnerable. And so I studied engineering. I thought, well, get the good job meant do what what men did. That time I'm back in there where there weren't many women doing it. And the veterinary field's very similar. And then hopefully that would be okay. But I started working, earning. But there was a big difference between earning money and creating wealth. And I'd never, ever been told that. I'd never had any model for that. Just money came in, you spent it, somehow lifestyle crept up, cost of living just went, and there was always this break-even position. But for me, it was worse. I actually went into debt because it was, well, isn't that what you do? You get the car, you get the house, you get the this, the that. These were the ticking the boxes. But very quickly I realized that very vulnerability that I was trying to avoid, that anxious side of, well, when do I ever get there? And where the hell is there? Was, financially, what did that mean? It was just like this fog. And it really hit a low point. I was actually working in Hong Kong. My marriage was taking a lot of strain because everything was about what we couldn't do, money, where was it? I was like, well, how did we save as much as we could? And so that fell apart, and the marriage and the money walked out the door. And I was now in my early 30s, went, wow, yes, I'm a woman. Yes, I'm blonde, all of those things. But hey, I don't think that is what's going on. I think maybe I've just never been exposed and really been taught what to do with money. And Meg, I see in professions like ours, and especially in helping helping professions, service professions, and another layer that also comes, that almost you're not meant to make money from it. That there's a dirtiness, almost an uncomfortable, almost like guilt. You must almost just survive. And the sacrifice element, which adds another layer that, well, how do we reconcile these elements that want to feel financially supported, want to be able to live an okay lifestyle and feel safe, want to have a little bit of breathing room, but there's almost guilt and shame about even wanting that because you're meant to just be there for everyone else. So this causes such a confusing whole pot. So when we start then thinking about our retirement, future, our financial well-being down the line, there's such a gap between practical reality now and that. And so we also have, there's 3 key challenges that happen. One, it always feels like, well, that's next week, month. I can deal with that then because it's in the future. So when there's a lot of urgency right now, managing practice, family, life, just being friggin' human, it's just one more bloody thing that how I'm going to fit it in. And when it's embedded and encapsulated in a lot of emotional and behavioral confusion. And the next element, we've got an industry, a financial industry that relies on people feeling like it's complicated, that it's difficult, that, you need somebody else to outsource. It's so much easier to either just defer, I'll handle that at another time, or look to the not unicorn of the financial industry, financial planner. Oh, well, let me just hand something over there. And so invariably we can end up buying a really crappy investment product, paying way too many fees. And so most people end up in a devastating situation where even if they think they've done the right thing, maybe a bit of money's going into a retirement plan or some kind of investment product via a financial advisor, most of that money is going to the financial industry, not them. And the devastation, Meg, is, and I see this the whole time, and mostly women, very, very, very vulnerable for a whole bunch of reasons, end up realizing there isn't enough money to be able to stop working. And Meg, a terrifying statistic, 2 out of 3 women in the developed world, and actually it's even a slightly higher percentage in the developing world, have to rely on somebody else for their survival, not thriving, not living a great life, to when in and not even their old age, post 50. It's either their kids, some kind of financial, their niece or nephew, a friend, a sibling. And so when we can start going, something's fundamentally wrong here, and we've to break this cycle. So if any of you are going, well, and we know that, I think it's just so important that we really bring the reality of this. It's not just a, oh, well, nice to have down the line. There's a foundational element of our financial well-being, because the stress that even if we're deferring it, it's eating into everyday reality. It's eating into worrying about it. And so we're going to talk about, let's call this retirement planning or building your financial wealth. But the next thing I really want to just put into the pot here is, let's redefine retirement. Because that can also be, oh, well, that's something down the line. I'll say what I really want to encourage everybody listening to do is to think about their wealth and money as an enabler for them to live the best possible, juiciest life from this one precious life. It's an input, it's an ingredient. That's why I call it the wealth chef. And so this is not something to defer down the line, but it's how do we utilize this input and manage it in a way that it is truly in service of our life. Short term, what we're doing now, medium term, to provide for the things we're going to need, and as this foundation of our well-being. Because at the end of the day, what we're going to be doing by implementing frameworks for freedom is giving us choice. That's what it is. And so the choice is having a choice at a point in time where you can choose to work or not, or you can choose how much you want to work. And so now your work, your passion, your joy is on your terms. And as you see your net worth growing, your investments growing, you feel more confident about it, the liberation also comes from that peace of mind going, oh, I see I've got a plan, it's working. So the freedom isn't just at that end point. And so I want to reframe it. It's not about, oh, well, when I retire someday, there'll be enough and maybe that'll be okay. It's really about bringing your relationship with money and wealth right into your way of being now, to be confident about it. So, because as long as we push it off to something that's deferred and it's only about then, it's like, well, I've got urgency now. So when we really bring the importance of it right to now and see why it's important, then your retirement is about your choice. I've been retired for over 18 years now, Meg. So when that day when I realized, like, okay, something's wrong, I need to change this, I really started going, well, what's in this gap between me earning and spending? What do I do with the money that actually makes sure that I'm safe, sound, can live a quality lifestyle now and have peace of mind? And so we'll get into the investing and the real important aspect that I realized there was assets, these things that could earn money for me, grow, earn income and grow in value, that I'd had no exposure to. Despite having multiple degrees and everything else, I'd never learned this key aspect. So there was keeping some of the money, managing, but converting it into things that could grow for me. And that becomes the engine that can work separately from me. And once that's big enough and I can pay for the chosen lifestyle, then you have this ultimate choice. And so it took me 8 years from saying, well, I'm going to dive in and learn and grow, to get to that point where I then have absolute freedom to choose where I'm going to put my time and energy. And so why I want to challenge the word retirement, because for 18 years, my lifestyle is paid for by my assets. But emotionally work, a lot of people say, Ajit, you work really hard, because it's choice, it's passion, and that liberation is is my absolute mission. For if more of us in the world can come into our relationships, our life, our business, our choice, from knowing that we get to do this, we don't have to, the world is completely changed for us. So does that make sense, instead of reframing retirement?
I love it. Yeah. I mean, because I mean, retirement, if you think about it, like when I was younger, and I actually had this moment, and as you were talking now, it took me back to this time. And I remember when I first qualified as a vet, and I think I'd been working for like 3 months. And it was actually even a Saturday, so I wasn't even working, but I was just thinking, I've got 2 days before I have to go back to work. And I had this like literal panic attack. I was like, I've got like 40 years or 45 years until I can retire. This is my life going forward. I have to work, 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 and then just live for these 2 days. And not always, because we were on call on the weekends. And
Exactly.
I literally had this panic attack about, retirement. I thought, oh my gosh, this can't be my life, and I think a lot of us think of retirement, like you say, as something in the future. It's something that's going to happen so later. But you don't realize how quickly life catches up with you. I mean, me now, I'm 48. So retirement, is actually just around the corner. It's not so far away. But I love the idea of sort of reframing it so that it's not like at 60 or at 65, I have to stop working and I need enough money for then. It's like, let me build assets and wealth so that I can make a choice when I want to. And there are a lot of wealthy people, like super wealthy people, that carry on working into their 80s and 90s, and that's a choice that they make. And it would be wonderful for everyone. Like, this is my wish for the Vetrehabbers, that they, at some stage in their life, have a choice if they want to carry on working or not.
Hell yes. So let's understand, how do you start getting that choice? So the most important foundational thing that was transformative for me, and is for my community around, is when we start going, okay, well, what does that choice mean? And when I was in that, like, you're waking up and go, oh, this is me for the rest of my life. I'm sort of saying, when do I get to stop? When do I get to live the life that I want? What is that? The biggest question for me was, well, how much is enough? And so what happens for a lot of people, there's just this hope. As I say, maybe you outsource something to a financial advisor, just hope that somehow magically you're going to look one day and go, please, sir, can you tell me what I can have? And then you live off that, versus going, well, hang on, let's design our lives. So the great thing is, enough is actually a concrete number that we can work out. And this is the most important thing, because if we don't know where we're headed, you can't put a plan together, you can't measure how you're getting there. There's no sense of solidity, which is also one of the deep anxieties, uncertainty and not knowing what we're doing, and is part of the massive stress that so many people feel, that waking up at 3 a.m. like, oh, what I'm going to be able to do. So enough defines that we got to get clear on what the hell we want. And this is a beautiful ongoing journey in life, versus stripping away what does society tell us we should have in terms of all the stuff, versus how do we want to be living our life? What does it look like? And so it can change, it can shift, but really getting clear first of, well, this is the kind of lifestyle, this is what lights me up, this is what I enjoy. And so putting a price tag to that. What is the amount of money that you would be enough for you to be able to go, I get to live a pretty great damn life. I get to connect with people and life. So this is such an important mindset shift as well, because another challenge that happens is most people design their life based on how much money is coming in, not the other way around. So how much money are I got? Great, let me go and spend it, and let me equal my lifestyle to it, and preferably take on some debt as well. And so it really is putting us and our life first, and money in service of that, not this, well, what's available, let me spend it. So we start to say, well, how do I want to be living? and really allow that practice to pay. But just start off with, what is your current lifestyle? So what is the current price tag of your life? So we need to get a bit close with our money. And what's great, because I know a lot of your rehabbers also have their own businesses, you've got to start with you, separate from your business, and separate your identity. So we're talking about your lifestyle, because that's also a whole nother conversation, Meg, we can have about separating business and personal finance and using the same principles in your business. How are you making sure you're getting money out of your business? But we're talking about you, your lifestyle, your transport, your holidays, your clothing, your food. What is the price tag of that? Because once we know what that is, we say, well, what is the value of the assets, the investments you need, which could pay for your current lifestyle without you having to work? Because that's just easier for most people to comprehend. And then you go, okay, well, that's a baseline. And now you understand that there's a relationship between assets and that price tag. So just start with that, and we can call it your break-free number, because that, if you've got enough assets to pay for this lifestyle, well, now you can start making a choice. So work out per year, how much is that amount of money? And then you divide that by 0.8%. Sorry, by 8%, which is 0.08. So Meg, there's videos and stuff which we're giving as part of this for people to go deeper, to work this out. But this is really important, because what you've calculated then is what is called your net worth, which is the value of the investments that has been deemed as a critical mass, let's say, that is self-sustaining, that you can feed off those assets and they could keep going. So essentially you're planting this incredible orchard of trees that keep fruiting, and you eat off the fruits, because we've also got to shift from a saver mentality to an investor mentality. And this is really important. Meg.
Where does that 8% come? So can you just explain to us about that?
So as I said, there are videos that I'm giving you in the course because to go a little bit deeper into this, but essentially it's saying you've got let's say this pot of assets. So they grow at a certain rate. So investments grow in their capital growth and they generate income. So let's say real estate, it increases in value and it generates rental income. The combined growth and income component of an asset is called the total return. Equities are the same. So the stock market, they grow in value and they generate dividends. So the total return. And so the objective, excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog. The objective is to get your portfolio growing at an average of 12 to 15%, which is actually very easy across a portfolio of assets. We'll talk about a portfolio. So the 8% is considered a sustainable, what is called drawdown rate, a feed-off rate. So now you've got this capital mass, it's growing at a rate of 12 to 15%. Now you take 8% off it every year, which is what you then use to pay for your lifestyle. So you've still got the capital mass, it's still there and it's growing. And that buffer, that between up to 12, 15%, enables for inflation, for tax, for bits and pieces, and variable side. So a base 8% drawdown is a really great benchmark to work out, well, what's the size of this pot needed that enables it to stay alive? Because if you start eating into the capital, and the pot's too small, and that's what happens for a lot of people, the pot's too small, then they're taking critical amounts of it, it can't sustain. And so the point of freedom for everyone is to get to the place where there's this big enough pot that you can live off indefinitely. So that's why I say already 18 years I've been living off my pot. It still keeps growing. And it will, I can relax knowing that my drawdown, my feeding off rate to maintain the lifestyle that I choose, and my lifestyle hasn't increased. My net worth's gone, but you see, I've uncoupled the price tag of my lifestyle from the money I have, because that should not define who or what we are. And these are these beautiful nuanced elements around it. So that's where 8% comes from, Meg.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I love the way you describe this, because if you think about it, like most people, and I think about my mom now, she's retiring, everyone at some stage is thinking they're going to retire, and there's always this question, is this going to be enough? And you think for your parents, like, do they have enough? And nobody actually knows what that number is. but you're giving us a way now in which to work it out, which I think is so, so helpful. Because, and I must say, you know, when I read your book, that was one of the key things in your book. I was like, look, this is gold. Like, I actually understand this. I did get a bit of a shock. I will say that, because in my mind, the amount that I needed was a whole lot less. And so this is really why, guys, this is why we're having this conversation with Anne, because I don't want you guys, you know, at 55, 58 be, and even if you are right now, 55, 58, it's fine. You just need to start today. Like what Anne is explaining now, you need to start planning today. It doesn't matter what age you are, but you could do it earlier. So, and earlier is literally now, today. Is to start actually planning for this, is to work out this number. And you might also get a shock. You might be like, look, that is a lot of money. How am I gonna earn that? But you know, I read this book of Anne's like 2 years ago, and I'm starting to see the plans that I put into place. I'm starting to see them actually working. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually working. So trust me, what Anne's going to teach you today and what she's explaining to you today, it works. So yeah, keep going, Anne.
So Meg, I love it. So absolutely. Because the next key thing, you're going to see this number, and absolutely, Meg, as you say, you're going to go, how the hell am I going to earn this? Not only how am I going to save it and keep it in my life? Because right now, you mostly at break even. All the money gets consumed by lifestyle. So the really important thing to remember is, okay, calm down. I'm still getting used to being an investor and thinking in compounding versus thinking in linear. I've got to save that. So a saver's thinking is I've got to earn all that money. An investor goes, no, I've just got to plant the seed. My assets are going to create the bulk of that. And this is really the power, why it is so important we plant those seeds and that we let the investments and compounded return. So your investments grows in value and income, you reinvest. And so really important as what I call your accumulator stage, the discipline of you don't rob yourself, you don't rob those assets, because literally you're planting a little seedling, don't dig it up and eat it before it can become a big bloody tree. And so this is 90% of that number that you work out, your enough number is going to be made for you by your assets, not by your earning. But you do have to plant that seed. And that's why I said our wealth starts from us. And Meg, this is such an important point to just the inner game and the behavioral game is really understanding freedom is a choice. It's never going to be forced on us. So every day we have to make choices to go, am I making a choice for my own freedom? Am I making a choice and putting me first? Because this next step, now that you know what your enough is, the next critical element is creating a habit of allowing yourself to keep some of the money you make. And this sounds such an easy thing to do, but behaviorally and emotionally, for people in service industries, for women, there's a whole lot of barriers to it. Having to break through the story of I must look after everybody else first and I come last. So this is a radical step of saying some money is going to come out of the business and some of that money is going to go into my freedom fund, is going to be invested first. Not once the bills are paid, not once the kids' schooling is sorted, not once the pets have been fed. No, first. And it's going to trigger all sorts of stuff. It's going to trigger, but I don't have enough money, but this feels guilty and selfish. And when we truly just can sit with that and go, wow, this is fascinating. So in the Whale Chef world, we have a hashtag WTF. We just go, wow, that's fascinating. What's going on here? Because this one thing has such a ripple effect across all aspects of our life. Because when we truly understand paying ourselves first, our energy, our time, our resources, our money in service of the only and the most vital asset you have for yourself, for your life, for your business, for your family, this is the most radical selfless thing we can do, is to take responsibility for ourselves and make sure we fill ourselves up. So this is that next key step, is to say, well, this is what is needed to give me that choice. And now the seed has to happen, because a lot of people say, but Anne, what's $300 or what's $100 or what's 1,000 Rand or pounds, whatever that is, that's never going to get there, because they see this huge number and that's starting and saying, wealth is first and foremost a set of behaviors. it's also our own self-worth inside. And so this compounding is critical, because every day, every week, not only that you delay, not only is the money not able to now grow for you, but you're also sending the universe, life, yourself, the story that you don't matter, that you are a low priority. So extraordinary things happen just emotionally and behaviorally by the sheer habit, the practice of this commitment of routine and regular investing. So that is the next critical step, Meg. So I don't know whether there's anything you want to sort of clarify in that. We can, work out, how much, what does that look like? You want it to get at least minimum of 10% of your lifestyle cost must go into your investments.
Yeah. So I know what everyone's thinking now, like exactly what you said, but like I literally don't get out at the end of the month, but there are little things that we pay for and do. And I think the thing is that you have to change your mindset around this. Like you're putting this money into investing, and then whatever is left is what your lifestyle is. And this is the hard part, because your lifestyle is at a certain point. And by doing this, you have to drop your lifestyle. Okay, and not forever. You'll find other ways to bring it up again if that's where you're comfortable. But sometimes in the beginning, you do need to drop it a bit in order to be able to put that money aside. All right. So there's certain things you're not going to be able to buy because you're putting that money aside. And that's the mindset shift. And I think that's what's hard for everyone, is that suddenly now, if I put this money aside, how am I going to pay for all these other things? You have to find a way in which that whatever's left there is to pay for all this stuff, right?
Absolutely, Meg. And that's why I wanted to really upfront talk about when we know why we're doing this, when we really go, you know what? I'm going to put my big girl and big boy panties on, and I'm never going to be one of those people who now having to scrape and beg and rely on somebody else. One. Two, I'm doing this for me, for peace of mind, for side. Three, because when we really have a strong why, we can do the work that needs to be done. And so it's coming back to, why am I doing this? What it is that I really want? And then there's a lot of things that we can do which make the managing of the money, the what I call squeezing the juice, getting more value from our spend. But that first decision that this is a rule, it's a must, it's not I'll try, I'll see, has to happen.
Yeah.
And then you'll be amazed the resourcefulness, because we all have so many leaks in our wealth pantry. There's these little rats that eat things away, because part of the challenge is when we're busy running businesses, our lives, it's actually, and we've also got a society, Meg, I mean, there's so much we'll could speak about, society that fixates on revenue, the income. And so we work so hard to bring more in that we actually neglect it once it's come in. Our wealthy life is created by how we spend money, not by how we earn it. The choices we make as to where that money goes determines the quality of our life right now and in our future. And when we go, well, wow, because a lot of people are resistant to go, oh, Anna, I don't want to budget. And I go, well, don't budget. I want you to be a conscious spender. I want you to go, wow, how much of my life force has it taken for me to end up with, this dollar, this pound, this euro, this rand, this whatever it is in my hand? Great. It's an amazing seed with potential. I get to choose where that's going to go. And the value that I get from it is determined by me, both in what I exchange it for. So this now becomes a whole different set of skills, which is the wealthy money flow. So to really create a wealthy life, we need these growing assets, which is what we're focusing on now. But we need to have a healthy money flow of how money flows through our life. Yes, we need coming in, but really seeing the custodianship of where it goes out to, and plugging those leaks, getting more value for what we have, stripping away the stuff that we have just unconsciously or because we think we should be spending that, reclaiming our agency on that. And so this becomes a really empowering conversation. But as you say, shifting the behavior is initially like, how do I do this? But it gets easier and easier. And the great part is with the investing is we automate it. So should we get into that step, or you're going to say something?
No, I was actually just thinking, for a lot of the Vetrehabbers, a lot of them are like on their own and they're doing mobile practice. And their earning potential every month fluctuates a little bit. And I remember when I had my practice, especially when I had my brick and mortar practice, My income, I was more salaried, but when I first started and I was just a one-man band, it was just me, I earned what I earned, right? And it was so fluctuating. And I just, thinking back, because at this time I wasn't investing in doing what you're saying that we should be doing. But I was thinking, like, if I was in that time, then how would I handle that? Because that would be quite scary for me to say, okay, I'm doing that, and then suddenly I have a really bad month. And I do that, then how really will I pay for everything? Any advice on that?
Absolutely. I mean, and I've got a whole program just on how to manage variable inflows, because this is, you've got to first look at these two key principles: is how is the money flowing through my life, and being able to view it, see it, manage it, and then how am I growing my assets? And these are these two, let's say, metrics that we look at, and those are these two things that are going to create your wealthy life experience, your peace of mind, and your choice down the line. So we could spend an entire, maybe do a podcast just in terms of managing variable income, but the first thing is we've got to start viewing our lives from a bigger perspective and breaking this week by week, month by month, right up front reaction to what's come in, spent. Now, again, a lot of these things are just behavioral elements, like you pay your rent monthly, or you do this, there, these bills. So we tend to view things in that side. So when we start going back, and this is why we've got to get intimate with our money. How much is coming in? How much is going out? Doing things like tracking your spend so you can get, we call it a P&L, a profit and loss for your business, or an income statement. You want that for your life. So you can start going, oh, this is the pattern of how money flows from life. Here are my averages. How do I get averages up? Because now when you can say, well, what's my average over a 6-month? What's my average over a 12-month of inflow versus outflow? You can start building up what I call your reservoir or your dam accounts. You can start stabilizing. And so this is also really important, that your lived cash flow or your money flow experience also gives you peace of mind and quality, that you're not this feast famine, am I going to be able to pay this month? Because there's no joy in that. And so then absolutely thinking down the line. So there's this money management and your relationship with how money flows through your life while you're investing are both critical. And so just as a starter, start looking at what your averages are, start looking at your bigger percentage, and then saying, well, if my average inflow a month is X amount, take 10% of that. And, if 10% just feels too much, commit to 5%. If that still feels too much, commit to 2%, because the first act is the most important. Because it triggers the story of, oh, there is enough. And you're going to find your resilience and your resourcefulness to find the other elements. So start with an amount. You can start with 40 euros, 25 pounds in a regular investment, 30 US dollars, 300 Rand, whatever your currency is in your side, into an automated regular investing. It just starts showing you, oh, okay, it's doable, because you're also learning the habit. You're also now breaking the next thing, which is make a lot of people then go, oh my God, investing is scary. It's dangerous. I'm going to lose the money. No, follow a solid plan.
I have the same feelings. Everything you're saying now, I am like, it's just something so foreign to us, because we are so like, how we think and what we do is animals, the body, like that, and like, financial and investing and all these kind of things, all these terminology is just so foreign to us, Vetrehabbers and any veterinary professionals. It's just, and I know this because, like, here's a prime example. Like, I know when you go out to a party and then you meet somebody and then they say they're in financial risk assessment, like something, and I go, oh right, and I have absolutely not a clue what that person does every day, and that just scares me. I think I'm not even going to ask, because he's going to say words I'm not going to understand.
What's great, Meg, is I find them completely boring too, as well. And I think this is such an important thing. Being great with your own money investing is not about now becoming an accountant or a financial advisor or planner. And here's the reality. Most people in the financial industry are broke. They have got no idea how to look after money and create wealth. And this is so important. Most financial advisors are broke. They're deep in debt. They just sell crappy products. So when we go, oh shit, I don't have to know stochastic friggin' charts and that. No, 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 no. We're just going, can I understand the essence of an asset, something that grows? Brilliant. And this is why I make the starter asset class for everybody. And especially for those of us who, as you say, we're not particularly interested in it. But we understand it's vitally important that we create the space for us. We've got wonderfully joyful lives that we're not interested in staring at computers and charts. Is the stock market. People go, what, Anne? But isn't that the Wall Street and crazy? No. And there's these fantastic products called index trackers. And I go deeper into them in the book and elsewhere. And I've got a lot of resources your community can look into. But to trust that with a single investment, majority of your money is going to work for you, not for the financial industry, because they're very low cost, as in the fees on them are very low. You can invest in them through your own online broker platform. Very simple and straightforward once you just a few steps now. And you can literally get a single index tracker. So say a global world tracker, which would, with one investment, give you over 3,600 companies. So basically what you're doing is you're owning shares in top companies around the world. You benefit from their growth and the dividends, their profit that's distributed. And so there's a whole lot of stuff happens here. You get what's called diversification. So now you own companies across the world, different sectors, decided through a single investment, and across different industries and asset classes. And so now with one investment, so it's not complicated, you can just put that on an automatic monthly reinvestment. So your money goes onto your digital platform, it automatically buys that tracker. And literally starting with one world tracker will put you ahead of 95% of the world, both in terms of your quality of your investment and the performance. And now you just put that as an automatic buy. So you get it what's called dollar cost averaging working for you. You don't worry about when the markets go up and down, because when the markets go down, you celebrate, because then if they're having a sale, you get more for your money. A lot of people got to manage that. You don't look at it, you just trust it to get on with it and go. You can, and then if you get, want to, and a little bit more complex, you could maybe put one or two different types of index trackers in. But Meg, this is what a lot of people don't realize. That's enough. It's more than enough. One investment, you're going to own over 3,600 companies. You're going to have that diversification. You're going to have set this key mechanism going, and all of the other cogs of your wealth world are going to start shifting in alignment of that. And that's the starting point. And so, we could go into a little bit more detail, but I also don't want to overwhelm. I've got resource around. The key thing is it's an investment online broker platform that you open the account on. You can use tax deferred and tax-free accounts. So that could be a 401k, an IRA, it could be a tax-free savings account, TFSA if you're in Canada, or an ISA in the UK. One of the benefits I've lived in 6 countries on 5 continents, vested in just about all of them. Money is the same principle. The names of different accounts and stuff might be slightly different, but to truly understand this key principle, and that as the starter is amazing, and it is enough.
I love it, Anne. So Anne has so kindly, guys, gifted you 2 different things. And the one is actually about all of these index trackers. So this is like something so new to me too. So for those of you that are a little bit overwhelmed by that, you don't have to start there, because she also has another product called Wealth Made Simple. And this is like a broader framework, managing money, simple investing. And then she's got this webinar about the index trackers. And I think this has been absolutely amazing and a great start. And like, as we're talking, I'm just like making notes. I'm like, the next one that we're going to do is about this, and the next one that we're going to do. So yeah, for those of you that are interested in those free giveaways from Anne, thank you so much. The links to them will be in the description and or below. So yeah, please go and have a look at those. And yeah, I definitely think, Anne, we're going to have to get you on again, because my mind is blown right now. I even read your book and my mind is already blown. It's like you've just recapped it so well for me. So thank you so much.
Meg, such a pleasure. And money does. It weaves through every aspect of our life, through our identity, our sense of well-being. And it's such a vital, important element. And when we can just realize, we can manage it without charge, without judgment, energy, and get it service of ourselves, I truly believe that's the greatest gift we can give to ourselves, but also to everybody else we love and the animals we get to serve. So thank you for what you do, Meg. And thank you to all of you rehabbers. Just what an amazing tribe.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I load a new podcast. I'm here every week talking to vet rehab therapists from all over the world about all things vet rehab. A big thanks to our sponsor, Paw Prosper. Their sponsorship allows us to be able to give this podcast to you for free, so please go and check them out at pawprosper.com. Don't forget to bookmark the next Vet Rehab Summit on Saturday, the 8th of November, 2025. Come and be a part of the world's largest online veterinary rehabilitation conference created specifically for you, the vet rehabber community. Online Pet Health members get VIP complimentary access to the Vet Rehab Summit. For more information about continuing education for vet rehabbers, you can go to onlinepethealth.com.